So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, I am absolutely so excited. I've been trying to get this star on my show for the last 3 years, and I finally got her on. Yes, 3 years. It's the star of Superman and Lois. She plays Chrissy Marie, now we know, Marie Beppo, is the lovely Sofia Hasmik. Sofia, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming.
I know. Do you know what? How difficult? Literally, I've had the majority of the cast on the show. Literally all of them, except for the cleaners and the catering and Tyler and Bitsy. So literally, I'm playing like a game of Snap, and I'm so glad to get you on the show. I really am, because your character is just awesome, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But normally, what I do, I always ask, why acting? Because it's one of the most competitive industries to get into. So why acting and not like a 9 to 5 job?
Oh God. Because nothing else gets me up in the morning. That it's really quite simple as that. I'm very lucky that I found something that I love as much as this. I used to figure skate. I did it for so long from such a young age, through my adolescence. And I really fell in love with that feeling of performing and that feeling of time sort of standing still and the feeling of sort of disappearing into that moment. And when I quit, I took an acting class sort of on a whim, as like a high school credit, and found a very familiar feeling, in that being able to express yourself through something else.
That is
And I,
awesome.
yeah, and I really couldn't stop. I could not stop doing it. I tried. I really did. My first year, while I was like studying, at UCSB, I didn't. I was like very adamant to my family. No, I won't do it. I promise. Because, like you said, it's like I feel like every parent has that fear from figure skating to acting, being like, what are you doing? Why can't you just enjoy something maybe a little more stable? So for 1 year, I tried. I tried really, really hard. And it was impossible. It was impossible not to go back to it.
And do you still skate now? And are you as good still now as you was previously?
No, I'm so bad now. I'm so bad now. There is a rink in Vancouver, in Richmond, actually, that's pretty close to where our stages are. And I used to go like just to sort of glide around like 2 p.m. There's nobody on the ice. It's like a public session and no one's ever there. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun just like gliding around, but no, I can't jump. I can't spin. I now see the fear and I don't even want to try.
But the
But I
thing
love
is,
it.
the fact that you can still skate, I would love to take my girls ice skating, but I'll be the one going around with the big penguin, like that you can't skate, and that is not a good look for your dad. Do you know what I mean? And I want my girls to grow up strong and not see their dad as someone that falls over a lot on ice. So I think I'll avoid that. So when we look at actors, when we see them on the red carpet, it's very glamorous. But how glamorous is the job of being an actor? And if it's not glamorous, what's the most unglamorous thing about your job?
The most unglamorous is being in the cold. Just really honest. It sounds so simple and silly, but it gets very, very cold in Vancouver, and a lot of the times we have to play like it's a warm season. So I would say it's pretty unglamorous, sort of standing in rain, in the middle of the night, early morning, and doing that for hours on end. Um, but once we know we're filming, it's funny. Everybody says it the same thing. All of a sudden, everyone gets warm. People forget that it's it's cold outside. Magic trick. But yeah, I guess I would say that there's not a lot I don't think I can think of anything else outside of that.
So you've perfected the method of not shaking on stage, on camera, because I can imagine if you've got that coat off and it's cold outside, the cold is going to take control, and then when the cameras roll, you've got to not shake. So obviously you must be good, because we can't tell as an audience if it's cold. So that's brilliant. So how do you choose your roles, and what gets you excited about a potential role? What does that role have to get the Sofia, stamp of approval?
Um, God, I just kind of like I love interesting dynamic characters. Something that if you can read it and you can see just like a glimmer of another side of them and come up with that backstory and sort of like fill them up and flesh them out, I think that's really what it is.
Mm.
And you can find different angles. I mean, these characters are all human. We all have different sides of ourselves that if we just like peeked and poked hard enough, we can find little gems here and there.
That's awesome. And do you have a plan in place on your career of where you want to get to, the people you want to work with, the sort of projects you want to work on?
I do and I don't. I feel like I am a bit of a daydreamer, but when I find myself sort of stumbling over the what ifs and the maybes and the I wishes, you kind of lose sight of what's happening in the present time. And right now, I'm just still really excited over season 3 and sort of still acclimating to time home. So, as much as I love thinking about the future and putting in that groundwork, I've been practicing a lot about staying present.
I mean, you've got to be absolutely loving the fact that we're in season 3 of Superman and Lois, and this show gets better and better and better. And when you look back at the past seasons, you think to yourself, it surely can't, but it is. It really is. So why do you think Superman and Lois has been so well received and loved by millions?
I think that this show does something so brilliant in that it is a show about Superman and it's a show about Lois and that dynamic, but it's also the family dynamic. And all of the characters are so real and so grounded. And it's almost like there's a character there for everyone, like any audience member to sort of relate to and attach themselves to. And it boggles my mind sometimes. Like, I can't believe that it's real, that we've done 3 seasons of this. It's a very humbling feeling.
I mean, I've got to say, it is the best Superman show to date, and I was a massive fan of Smallville for so many years. That went on for like 10 seasons, and this show is just literally raw and real, and the writing on it is just absolutely incredible because it's still a superhero show, but it's with real world issues. And
Yeah.
it's really made it grounded and relatable. But before we talk a bit more about the show, let's go back in time. What attracted you to the role of Chrissy?
What attracted me to the role of Chrissy? Um, when I auditioned for her, there were a couple of scenes throughout the audition process, and one of the scenes she was like just such a fan of Lois Lane, and it was really their first interaction. She's like, do you know that you're Lois Lane?" She's very wide-eyed and she's stumbling over her words. And then one of the other scenes, I think that it was, don't think that it actually made the episode, but one of the other scenes between Chrissy and Lois was that even though she was talking to her idol, and was still sort of riding on that starstruck feeling, she had a very real conversation with her, where in a little bit of a way, she stood up for herself and she stood up for the town, and she kind of said what was on her mind in a very gentle and a very like sweet, endearing way. But to have that dynamic in the first audition, I was like, this is a really cool character. that she has the courage to say something to the person who is the reason that she got into journalism in the first place. So I was really excited to see that, like what that would be like, and her growth throughout the years, throughout that season, really.
I mean, I've got to say, everyone needs a friend like Chrissy because she's
Yeah.
just amazing on screen, so captivating, and it's so nice to see more of Chrissy develop. So when you joined the show back in season one, did you ever think that her story arc and her development on screen would take you to where you are now in season three?
No. No, not at all. Um, no, I was almost just, yeah, very certain. I was like, she's just going to be in the Gazette the whole time. That's it. She's not going to be really doing much else, which is great. I mean, she's a journalist. That's where it is. But it was kind of a bit of a running joke last season, where anytime there's like a catastrophe, she's always at the Gazette. Or if everyone is gathered outside, like during a fair, or like again, like another catastrophe, she's always kind of standing by herself. And I remember at the end of last season, Greg Smith made a joke, and he was like, "We'll find you some people to stand with next season." And lo and behold, yeah, now she's a little bit more, um, yeah, kind of like doing things outside of the Gazette and having a bit of a life.
It must be so humbling, though, as the actor, to have your character have these great storylines written for her. Do you know what I mean? Like starting out, and then obviously them developing the character. It's obviously a massive nod to you as a performer and bringing that character to life on screen, for the writers to actually say, do you know what? We need to do more with this character because she is loved by many. So when you joined the show, I've got to say, everything was secret. And I met Tyler in person, and I tried to get, because there were rumors that there were going to be a Superman and Lois show, and he was just coming off the back of Elseworlds' big sort of crossover. And I tried to get it out of him, but he wasn't having any of it. I mean, when you joined the show, how secret did it have to all be? Did you have to like literally sign your life away that you weren't allowed to talk to anyone, or they'll get you? I mean, how did it work?
I so appreciate that Tyler was so like tight-lipped about it. I feel like I was one of the last, yeah, members of the cast to actually be cast on the show. So when I got, no, actually Taylor must have been, but no, I mean, it was written on my sides. Like it was plain as day. Superman and like it was very, very, very clear. But I mean, I don't talk about it anyway. Like so, even if it had been a moment of like you can't tell anybody or you'll get into a lot of trouble, it wouldn't have mattered. I keep everything quite to myself as much as I can. But no, it was written all over the whole thing. I think. Watch me say the absolute false thing here, but I'm certain it said Superman and Lois on the audition.
I mean, Tyler was so good. I even said to him, wink once for no, two for yes. I even tried to literally get it out because I was so excited, because I met Bitsy like half an hour before, and she was so heavily pregnant she kept on having to go to the toilet every five minutes, bless her. And she kept on apologizing. I was like, no, you take your time, it's fine. I've got two girls. I know what it's like. Well, not me, my wife, but yeah, going to the toilet. But yeah, so how close would you say that you are to Chrissy? Have you got any Chrissyisms that you do day in day out?
Um, I don't know if I did this beforehand, but I feel like all of a sudden I now do the rambling thing that she does. It's quite often it's written like word vomit, like she just can't stop talking when she's very uncomfortable. So I feel like I've been doing that lately, or I'm just like, shut up, you're fine. You don't have to say anything else. Um, that, and also, I love how um, everything is written on her face. I feel like 90% of the time. Although she's very good at keeping secrets, it's just her face always says all of the things that need to be said. And so I feel like we share that. We have that in common.
I mean, she's a great character, and you're right. I love how like literally she can't hide anything with a face, and it's just priceless because there's certain scenes. One of my favorite scenes is when Lois tells Chrissy that Clark is Superman. And literally that scene was hilarious. I think all that episode in particular I thought was amazing, but that scene alone, I just thought it was so funny. It was just brilliant, and like literally it was just great. It really, really was. But in season 2, I've got to say we saw a new side of Chrissy because of Ali, who was the villain, who I've had on the show. She's lovely. I was so scared. Yeah.
She's amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah, and literally, she doesn't normally do interviews. So when I got her on, we were chatting about everything and anything, and yeah, she's so lovely compared to what she's like on screen. But we see a new side of Chrissy. I mean, what was season 2 like to work on? With your character specifically, because obviously you go off and you get mind wiped and everything like that, and it's just incredible. What was that like to work on season 2?
Um, God, it was so much fun because, yeah, like you said, we got to see a completely different side of her, and we got to see her sort of take this investigation sort of on her own in a way, and almost a little bit go rogue. And she was standing up to Lois quite a bit, which when I was reading it, I was like, God, they just need to like make up and get back. Like, like I love that Lois and Chrissy dynamic so much when they're together. So a lot of last season was trying to find that balance of, working with your idol, being partners with her, but also knowing where that line is for herself in a professional world. So it was a lot of fun to play off of that dynamic and to go on adventures and to know that she was brave enough to do that,
I mean, does it blow your mind that when you're filming it, obviously you don't see all these special effects and everything like that, but then when you actually watch the finished article, does it blow your mind like how good it looks on screen?
Oh my God, constantly. Constantly. It's like, I call it magic, but I know so much work that goes into it, but it's absolutely magic. I did, oh God, now I'm like forgetting the term for it, but I went into, wow, I'm actually forgetting the term for when you have to go back in to record over.
ADR? Is it
Oh
ADR?
my God, ADR.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think it might be time for my second coffee today. But yes, I was going in for ADR for episode 8 of last season in 208. And it was before that they had did all the special effects. And you're watching it and it still looked very, very cool. But then seeing that final product, I like blown away is an absolute understatement. They really create a world, like a full world. And it just feels like magic.
And it's because it's a TV show, you don't expect it to be this good, but everything in it is movie sort of quality, and that's what I love about it. But then talking about the writing and how real and raw it is, season 3 is tackling a subject that's I think everyone has been touched by and affected by, with family, close ones, and friends, which is of course cancer. It's very brave of the writers to tackle this in a superhero show because we all think that Superman is going to cure it and everything like that, and you've got to be very, very careful. But what I like to see is the relationship with you and Lois on screen, and it's one of those things that we don't want to see on screen because it's not very nice, but I think it needs to be seen on screen. I think we need to see that side of things because it will help and it will inform, and it's just fantastic. I mean, what has it been like to tackle that storyline and how challenging has it been to do it?
You know, I the writers have done such a phenomenal job with it, because I think that more than anything, it really highlights the fact that um, everyone truly is a hero in their own way with whatever that they are battling in their life, and to hold on to that hope, which is really like what Superman symbolizes, I believe. And Bitsy has done such a phenomenal job with it. And she's really taken everything to heart, and her performances have been just exceptional. And getting to see what all of the characters, um, what their reaction and their support to her has been, um, it's quite special. It's
Mm,
really quite special. And I also find that like the dynamic between her and Clark is really interesting this season. And she's really Lois is really, I feel like, finding her superpowers like a lot
definitely.
more. Like, it's just so cemented that she is really a superwoman. And I feel like that is such an incredible message for everybody.
I mean, she is a strong lady, and I actually called my daughter Lois after Lois Lane
Oh
because
my God.
because and my other daughter's called Cara after Supergirl. Only because I want them to grow up with strong names and being independent, and what Lois is doing on screen currently, I just think is wonderful because it's in a tasteful way. It really is. And my dad passed away a few months ago from cancer, and for me, starting to watch this show, I was in bits. Absolutely in bits because it just brought it all back. And but I've got to say, the way it's done is in such a respectful way, and I applaud the writers for that because it's something that we don't see on TV. We don't see in shows. So seeing our characters that we love in Lois and Clark and Superman, I think it's wonderful. I think it'll help a lot of people deal with things, and it has for me. It really has in a bizarre way. I'm not I'm man enough to say that I was in tears a couple of times, but it's awesome. I applaud it, and I thank the writers for tackling this subject. I really do. So I mean, I wanted to also ask how far in advance do you know what's in store for your character? I mean, do you know episode by episode, or do you know, up to the whole season?
Well, we have these meetings before we start filming. I had mine, I think, maybe a month before I started my drive to Vancouver, and you kind of get like a little bit of a blueprint. Like it's very loose, sort of. Well, actually now I'm saying I don't think it was as loose, but I feel like it's kind of like a game plan of everything. So you're given a bit of a heads up, but I do have to say that there are certain things, at least like with involving Chrissy, that I was very much surprised about. So I do feel like it was very much an episode to episode sort of thing where I kind of knew what was going on, but each script surprised me a little bit more and more. To the point where I think, like, towards the end of it, I was like, well, I can't gather what's going to happen.
because I was just talking to Dylan Walsh an hour ago, and he's just such a great guy. I mean,
God, is so he's just so amazing.
he really is, and he was mentioning the fact that he was getting them episode by episode, and I asked him, and I'll ask you as well. Do you feel it hinders you as an actor with your performance, not knowing too far in advance your story arc?
For me personally, no. I don't think so. Only because um, I find that I'm learning new things about Chrissy every time. I really am. And it's just like, as people, we're always learning new things about ourselves. And so I actually find it quite fun to um, be getting a script and trying to find ways to be like, oh yeah, she can be a bit like that, and filling the information in as we go along, especially if she's like interacting with new people, or new environments, new situations. It's fun to explore that, in the moment, I guess.
And I've got to say, for Chrissy this season, things are getting a bit more exciting. They really are. And what I'm talking about is the lovely man that is Kyle Cushing, Eric Valdez. And I've got to say, the scene where you're in the kitchen at the party, straight away, I pointed at the screen. I went, yes, something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen. I saw it coming from a mile away. I really, really did. So, I think they're both so good for each other. I really, really do. Because Kyle, really feel sorry for. I really do. I mean, obviously not for what he's done previously that's caused it, but I just feel sorry for him. He's like a lost puppy, and I think that Chrissy is looking for, a bit of romance. I think she comes across a bit alone sometimes. That
Yeah.
she wants to have, a companion, a friend. But it's really nice to see. So obviously, you had an awkward encounter with Lana in last night's episode, and I've got a lovely photo there of
Oh,
the awkwardness. And let's go back to when you said that literally Chrissy can't really hide anything on her face. That just screams awkwardness. And please point me to the exit.
yeah.
And it was just a lovely moment. But
Oh my.
are we expecting lovely things to come from this romance? Obviously, you might not be able to tell me, but can we expect more romance and the relationship flourishing? Because it'd be quite nice.
Well, I mean, at the yeah, God, that was. I have to say that I was dreading that moment from the minute I was told that this was going to be the storyline for Chrissy and Kyle. My immediate reaction was like, "Oh God, Lana!" Like, I just was really not looking forward to it. I was like tearing up about it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the episode, they've really sort of solidified this relationship, you can call it now. Um, and I do think you're right. They work strangely well together. I did not understand, or I was, yeah, I was very taken aback when I had first been told about this. And then the minute we got to set and we did that little scene at the barbecue at the boy's birthday, everything clicked, and I was like, "Oh, I get this. I get it." Like, they
And
work.
yeah, no,
So,
I was going to ask about that scene. I've got a picture here at the dance. Um,
oh, the
how much fun was that to film? Because it looked so much fun.
it was so much fun. God, it was really Eric has been such a joy, such a blast to be working with. Especially this scene, because really then people started asking if we had choreographed it like on set, and we just both looked at each other before we started filming that day, and we were like, oh, should we go over some dance moves? And we came to the conclusion that we didn't want it to seem rigid or to seem like it was worked out. So every take, it was like a different variation of it. So we were actually just dancing for hours together that day. So much fun. So,
And I,
so, so much
and I
fun.
was expecting him to lift you above his head. Do you know, a bit like you don't put baby in the corner. You know, that would have been perfect. It really. When you were shooting that, were they playing music? Because I've done film and TV previously as well, and I've done a few scenes in, say, like a nightclub where they don't actually play anything because you've got a couple of stars doing dialogue. So literally, you're dancing to nothing. I mean, were they playing music during that scene?
God, thank God they were. They were playing music because nobody had lines anymore. Really, I think I said one thing before I like walked down to take my fate on the dance floor. But no, thank God they were playing music. That would have been. I don't even know. I don't even know if I could have kept a beat if they were not playing music in my head with a 1 2 step. Oh my God.
I mean, obviously, you're joined on screen by a phenomenal cast, and we see on your social media you're as much as of a family on screen as you are off screen, which is wonderful to see. It really is. But the question is, out of the cast, who is the
Mhm.
Joker? Who is the serious one? And who is the one that you would choose to act opposite forever? Yeah.
Who who is the Joker? Who is the Joker? We're all I feel like it's ridiculous thing for me to be like all of us are Jokers. Um, who is that? You know what? Dylan is hilarious. I don't know that I would like. There's just something. Yeah, Dylan is just like really, really funny. It's just like very like dry, incredible humor. Wole is a crack up. I don't know. God, what did Dylan say? Did you ask him?
No, I didn't. I didn't. No, no, no. I wanted to ask you only because for Dylan, unfortunately, has got no social media. Um,
Oh, Dylan doesn't have an Instagram.
yeah, he doesn't know.
Doesn't I know what a smart man. So serious one. Do you know what? Taylor, I don't know that if it's serious, but Taylor has this very like grounding presence. She's an absolute riot, but there is like a something to her. So I don't know if you want to call it serious or not, but like, yeah, she's a force. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Taylor on that. And who I would choose to act forever. Wole and I have never had a scene together, but we like do tapes with each other quite often. And I would, yeah, I would pick Wole. When we work together just on like little things for ourselves, it is wild and we push each other and it's so much fun. I feel like the stuff that we produce. So I feel
So
like
there you
maybe
go.
one day we'll work together.
If the writers are listening, we need Chrissy and Wule
Fine, I've been
together.
saying it. And I think Wole has actually been saying it too. It'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, this show, is becoming more incredible as we go, and we're seeing a lot more things on our screens. But the question is, have you liberated any mementos from set? Have you taken anything? It's okay, you can borrow them. I'm sure the studios would not mind. You were just going to be the curator. I can't even say the word now. Curator of
Curator, yeah.
Chris's wardrobe or props, or have you taken anything at all?
No, do you know what? I have like a very guilty conscience. There's no way that I could have done that. I'll ask and then I'll get like a very like polite, no, we can't. And then I'll just be like, okay. And I can't, I feel like my heart would be beating a mile a minute if I did. I wish I was cool enough to have taken something and just kept it as a memento. But no, I haven't. But I will say that Chrissy has such a distinct way of dressing, and it's so I feel like removed from a lot of the people in Smallville. So I find myself like anytime I'm going shopping or just even window shopping and I see an outfit, I'm like, oh, that's very Chrissy, and then I'll buy one piece of it to just like when I'm feeling my Chrissyisms, I guess, kick in. It's just like sitting in my closet. I don't know.
That's awesome. But it's always better to ask for forgiveness and permission. And I am sure, they will.
Cool.
Yeah, they'll be fine with it. So obviously we're in season 3. What has been Chris's crowning moment for you as the actor that plays her?
In season 3 so far, or like overall?
So far, I mean, obviously, I don't want your NDA to explode, and there'll be knocks at the door. You know what I mean, being taken away. Um, so yeah, so far, yeah.
Um, ooh, you know what? I I feel like having Lois Lane and Clark at the Gazette, it's it's like an explosion of her mind. I can't like I understand the weight of that, and I know what that means to Chrissy, and I can't even imagine what it would be like to have Superman working with you at the Gazette, and also your ultimate idol being partners with you. And I do feel like um, that being solidified this season with the three of them working together, that's extraordinary. That's absolutely extraordinary.
I mean, I just thought though. I mean, Clark must be quite an awful employee because you never see him write anything. Do you know what I mean?
No.
He's always at the office. You know, he's never writing anything. But one of the last questions as well is that we're looking forward to season 4. Dylan actually mentioned earlier on that apparently there's going to be a writers' strike, so that
Mhm.
could delay the announcement for season 4. Have you heard any inkling? Because obviously we know that James Gunn is now taking over DC, and he has mentioned that he can see Superman and Lois going for a few more seasons, which I'm sure he means 5, 6 more seasons, surely. Um,
Yes, of
yeah.
course.
So have you heard any rumblings about, season 4?
No, I haven't really heard anything about season 4. I mean, I have all the hope in the world for it, and um, wrapped season 3, just feeling very optimistic about everything. But again, I mean, going back to what we were talking about before, like just being present in it and appreciating the work that everyone has poured into it, from like the crew to the writers and the actors, like it this season is filled with so much love. Um, I'm just sort of living in that still. But
I
no,
mean, I,
nothing official about
I mean, I don't
four.
want the journey to end, and I've got faith in the fact that we're going to get a season 4 because, again, it's getting better and better, and I can't wait to see Lex Luthor on our screens. Have you seen him in action? Have you? Because obviously, I interviewed Indy, and she gave away a few spoilers by mistake. I had to beep them out at the interview.
I
Bless her.
love,
I mean,
love it.
have you seen any anything of Michael in character?
Yes, I could have watched it all day. Like absolutely. I think the first time, because the first time I met him, um, a few days prior to that, I had seen some of the dailies from what he had shot, and I I was so blown away. He's so captivating, and you're like equal parts like terrified and intrigued. I could have watched it all day, no commercials, straight, like there for it. And I couldn't stop telling him about it. It was probably so embarrassing. It was very embarrassing on my end. Like I could not shut up. I was like, oh my God, so good. Just mesmerized by it. And so I can't wait for everyone to have that same reaction.
I just cannot wait. I mean, I love villains. I love super villains because there's something about them
Yeah.
that is captivating. There's something more behind the eyes, and there's always a backstory. And I'm absolutely loving Bruno Mannheim, and I can't wait for Lex. Have you got any planned conventions? Do you do any conventions? Because obviously we've had Bitsy and Tyler and Alex come over to the UK. I mean, do you do them, or would you like to do them?
I haven't done them, but I would love to do them. The fans are what make this show truly, and it's like we're not. It'd be crazy if we were just doing this for ourselves in like a vacuum. And so I think the thing that keeps it going is the fans and that community, and I would love to do it.
That's it then. A mission to get out all the viewers. You need to be contacting your conventions locally. We've got some amazing ones here with Monopoly events, and they're just amazing. And they brought over Tyler and Bitsy and Alex over, I think last year or the year before. I can't remember, but I'll get in touch with Andy, the organizer, and say, look, we need to get Chrissy Beppo over with the rest and make it a big reunion. It'll be awesome.
I would love that. Let's get that going.
Oh, Sophia, you've been a great guest. It's been an absolute honor. And I'm glad, it's been 2-3 years in the making, but you're finally on the show. Keep safe. Keep safe and
Yes,
stay super.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.